All right. So remember, you can open the navigator down there and scroll to where we want to be. Let's see. I think we're pretty close to 32. 33, actually. It's slide 33. And then you can close that navigator. The 19th Amendment. There was now more general support for granting women the vote. Even President Woodrow Wilson knew it was time to change his attitude. Wilson called his sudden support a war measure, and in 1919, after continued lobbying, picketing, and pressure, Congress finally passed the 19th Amendment. All right, so a couple key things there. Woodrow Wilson is pretty big. 1919 is when it is happening. And then I'm going to highlight these in a slightly different color. But this notion of lobbying, picketing, and pressure as being what did it. Put this over here. So I wonder, so question, was it really a war measure, or was there just too much pressure? It's a question that I have. And let's see. Anything else I want to say? So this part right here is pretty important. They call it the Susan B. Anthony. Actually, I'll just highlight that. But they're calling it that Susan B. Anthony. That was one of the first people to do this. And there it is. There is the actual amendment. Saying that women get the right to vote. Imagine how you would feel if you're Alice Paul. Question I have related to our main topic here. Did Wilson take a stand here or give in to others taking a stand? All right. Moving on to the next page here. The congressional resolution for the submission of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, and that's the label from before. What was needed now was ratification from 3/4 of the states. So 3 out of every 4 states had to ratify. Paul knew that it was going to be hard to secure all the needed states to ratify. There were different state governments with opposing opinions and contradictory agendas. Paul knew that most of the southern states, like Georgia and Alabama, would vote no to the amendment, and they did. It was touch and go with other states like New Jersey and Oklahoma, but they finally supported the amendment. So touch and go, I think here means, actually I'm just going to say what it means. It means iffy. In the end, it all came down to Tennessee. The majority of the state legislature that's like the local Congress, had to ratify the 19th Amendment, and it would become law. For a while, it looked hopeless. Local Congress. They passed the laws. At the last minute, the youngest member of the state Senate, 24-year-old Harry Byrne, who was about to vote no, received a letter from his mother. It read, Hurrah and vote for suffrage, and don't keep them in doubt. Byrne voted yes. And there he is. With his vote, the 19th Amendment was ratified after a 72-year struggle. It was a victory and a wonderful moment, but Paul knew that the fight for equal rights wasn't over. There was much more work to be done to make sure that women were treated equally by the law and paid an equal wage. So those are her next two goals. I wonder which habit she is showing here. The fact that she was immediately thinking about that next part. In 1923, on the 75th anniversary of the Seneca Falls Convention, which had started the women's rights votes led by Paul's hero, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, Paul announced that she would be working toward the ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment. This amendment called for equal rights throughout the United States. In 1943, it was named the Alice Paul Amendment. As Paul continued to push for the ERA, she also earned 3 law degrees. She traveled around the world advocating for women's rights. She worked to make sure the United Nations Charter included a commission on the status. Oh, I forgot to submit that. On the status of women. She led a group that added a sexual discrimination clause into the Civil Rights Act of 1964. She was tireless, relentless, and always focused on her goals. So I wonder, why did she keep working even after the 19th? And I submit that. The women's movement picked up steam again in the 1960s. So that's quite a distance between them. Once again, women marched, demanded equal pay and fairer laws. So those are all tactics. And some of them are the same, and some of them are a little bit different. I'll write the word tactics here. In 1972, the United States Congress finally passed the Equal Rights Amendment. But to date, not enough states have ratified it to pass this amendment. And this is still true. So there is still not an official part of the U.S. Constitution that says that women and men need to be treated equally. Paul died at the age of 92 in 1977. Paul has been honored with stamps in the United States and in Great Britain. It's interesting that Great Britain honored her. Why did Great Britain honor her? Oh, 2 N's there. Montclair University, State University, and Swarthmere have named buildings in her honor, but perhaps her greatest legacy is the 19th Amendment, which finally gave women a voice in their own destiny. It's interesting, though, the 19th Amendment, right, is called the Susan B. Anthony Amendment, should the 19th be called the Alice Paul? And why wasn't it called the Alice Paul if she was the one working for it?